Please welcome Corporate Vice President, Office 365 Marketing, Ron Markezich.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming. Great to see all of you. You know, one of the things you often hear from Microsoft people is at the soul of the company, at the soul of Microsoft, is creating solutions and products that help people like yourselves go add value to organization, your customers, your users. And what we really see in this group is really such an important community and group of partners with us to add value to the world. This IT professional developer community that you all represent is so important to make sure we can work together, especially in this world where the modern workplace is becoming so important to companies adding value and staying competitive. And I hope you see that in our session here this afternoon, as well as this full week down here in Orlando. When it comes to the modern workplace, there's so many trends happening that allow us opportunities and challenges to go and make sure we're serving that workplace. I spent the first half of my career, about 14 years in IT, both at Microsoft and Accenture, and I always thought of the trifecta. Make sure we'd reduce costs, add value, and ensure security. I know you all focus on that continually today, but we also have this trend in terms of how work styles and people's work and the way they team are changing through different generations in the workforce, through multiple geographies working together, towards more people working from home because that's where they do their best work, or that's where they're most satisfied, or that's where they live. And those opportunities give us the advantage to make sure we can go as partners between IT professionals and Microsoft and take solutions out to your users to make sure we increase the competitiveness of your organizations. And what we've done at Microsoft is we brought those solutions together into what we call Microsoft 365, which is the best of what Microsoft has to offer to help you empower your employees, empower your end users to drive that competitive advantage. And we've talked about a number of pillars in there today where we can use Microsoft 365 together to unlock creativity, to drive teamwork, to drive simplicity, to drive intelligent security in your organizations. And in this session, we really want to focus on the first two pillars. We want to focus on Microsoft 365 to unlock creativity and how it's built for teamwork. We've seen a great momentum with Microsoft 365 thanks to our partnership together. We have over 100 million active users every month on Office 365, over 500 million monthly active devices of Windows 10. We've seen 250% growth in the cloud for data stored in SharePoint just over the last year, and 60 billion authentications happen every month in Azure Active Directory. Microsoft 365 has really come together in what we usually have as three products that we thought of more in silos, and we've brought them together in terms of changing the way in which we do engineering, the way in which we support these products, the way in which we talk about these products, bringing together the best of Office 365, the best of Windows 10, and the best of enterprise mobility and security. And we want to continue to drive innovation across these three products, as well as making sure we drive that integration for you so you can take those and take what the best Microsoft has to offer out to your end users. We made a number of announcements just today. I wanted to recap those really quick around Microsoft 365. First, we announced a new vision for intelligent communications. As part of that intelligent communications vision, we're making two important announcements. First, we built a new modern Skype infrastructure to deliver higher quality enterprise-grade voice, video, and meetings. And second, for our Office 365 customers, Microsoft Teams will evolve as the core communications client. We also announced today that we're committed to Skype for Business, and we are going to be shipping another Skype for Business server release in the second half of calendar year 2018. We also announced a number of advancements across security, things like expanding conditional access to give you additional capabilities there, additional information protection, additional phishing protection and automatic remediation, and then compliance manager, which will especially help for those that are driving your GDPR compliance. And all of this is based on our intelligent security graph. We also want to focus a little bit on unlocking creativity. And in unlocking creativity, we recently had a CEO summit in Microsoft. And we asked CEOs, what is foremost on their mind? They said, you know what, in days past, I would say, how do we drive productivity? How do we make the company more efficient? But what's foremost on their mind today is how do they harness the ingenuity that exists within their organization? How do they unlock that creativity that exists with every individual within their organization and use that for the next great idea? Use that to define how they disrupt the industry and how they also stay ahead of those disruptors. It's no longer just about driving down costs or just about increasing productivity, but it is about unlocking creativity. And what we want to do today is give you just some practical examples of how we've done that with customers like yourselves. And I'll give you one real quick one with British Airways. One concept that Satya touched on this morning is the first line worker. These are the people that are front and center. They're the people that touch your customers the most, touch your products the most, serve your customers. They know most of what's going on the front first lines. They also are the most underserved from technology, and they represent about 2 billion employees worldwide. British Airways has over 11,000 users on Yammer. They've done over 1 million posts on Yammer. It's a key product that they use to go communicate out to the entire organization. And they were announcing the launch of the Airbus A380 airliner inside British Airways to make employees aware of what was happening and what was coming. And as part of that, they put out Yammer pictures of the new airliner and what it looked like in the cabin, et cetera. And some of the crew members noticed right away galley improvements that could be made in the Airbus A380 that they put out in Yammer. There's a team in Wales that was responsible for the design of the cabin, picked those up off of Yammer, and quickly made changes to the design of the aircraft based on the feedback from those first-line workers. They were able to get visibility of that through Yammer. It's a great example of really tapping into the creativity that exists within your organization, as well as tapping into that first-line worker that understands what's going on more than anyone, because every day they work in that galley, they serve customers on that aircraft. So to build on that, what I'd love to do is have Kim Cashel come out from our team and show you some more capabilities live. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Ron. You just heard how Microsoft 365 can help you unlock creativity. And we're now going to bring that to life with Fourth Coffee Company. We, Fourth Coffee, a regional coffee retailer, see an opportunity in building brand awareness and loyalty by empowering our customers to express their creativity by customizing their paper coffee cups. Now, if you're anything like me, you start your day out with a cup of coffee, and then you get to work. And the best way to do that is the new Office.com. We've heard the customer feedback and are working to continuously improve the experience for users. That's why Office.com has been redesigned to be the best and fastest way to get access to your apps and documents via intelligent and collaborative views. We've also redesigned the Office 365 app launcher to give you instant access to your apps and documents. And the new Office 365 Gallery, an experience which shows your users all of the apps they have access to and what they can achieve with them. All right, but now let's get back to our coffee stores. As a store experience director, I'm always interested in looking for fresh ideas. And our baristas and first-line store employees are the most direct connection that we have to our customers. So I like to keep my fingers on the pulse of the first line. And Yammer is our way to do that. It's an open platform where they can engage and share brand new ideas. And as I look at the group for our Charleston store, I can see that there is an idea that's caught on. Some of our more artistic baristas are not just writing the customer names on their coffee cups, but are actually making quick doodles for them. And as I scroll down further, I can see that even some of our customers are making their own artistic expression on the coffee cups. And our employees have started using the hashtag #CoolCups to engage as part of that campaign. Maybe the Charleston store really has something there. And while we're on the topic, in the coming months, Yammer will support storage of data at rest in Europe and other worldwide regions. Even more broadly, Office 365 now supports single-tenant, multi-geo topologies, providing you with more flexibility to decide where to store your data. Now, I want to see if this campaign has had an actual impact on revenue. And Power BI is an amazing way to visualize rich sets of data. In our dashboard, I can see that year-over-year sales are up at about 3% across all stores. In the upper left corner, I can compare this year's sales to last year's sales directly. But now I want to drill down a little bit on that Charleston store, the one with the #CoolCups campaign. As I go to look at the details, I can see that they're up nearly 10% compared to last year, and they're the highest grossing store of all. Now, Johnny Sherman, the district manager for that store, must be thrilled. As I go and look at some of the other highest grossing stores, Huntington, for example, they're up at about average, while Harrisburg is even down compared to last year. So Charleston really might have something there. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, because as part of our campaign, we're considering an overall redesign of our coffee cup. And I'm going to do that in Paint 3D using the Surface Studio with an immersive 28-inch pixel sense display and the most advanced digital pen. While I'm in Paint 3D, of course, I can rotate the cup to make sure I can look at all angles and customize this in the way that I want. Now I'm going to start off by customizing it with a sticker. The hashtag has taken off, so I'm going to place it on my cup, rotate it a little bit here, and of course, I want that a whole lot bigger. As I move it, notice how it perfectly wraps around the 3D image of my cup. That's the perfect position, so that's where I'm going to place it. Now, I also want to add a little bit of a personal touch to this image. So I'm going to go back to my drawing. And in a perfect world, I'd be an amazing designer and show you a really crazy image, but I'm not. So using the most advanced digital pen, I'm going to draw the most advanced smiley face that I possibly can. All right. There we go. Now, I love that redesign so much that I'm going to go ahead and export that file. And I'm going to save it, of course, to my OneDrive to make sure that I can later access it from any device. Save that image. So now I think I have all the assets that I need to go and get started on pitching my management on that and start to work on that PowerPoint. Now, you just saw I'm definitely not a designer, but I want my PowerPoint to look amazing. So I'm going to need some of the help of PowerPoint's designer, cloud-powered designer, who's going to help me achieve just that. I'm going to go to Pictures and add these 3 pictures to the first slide in my experience. Watch how Designer automatically kicks in and provides me with amazing layout options to place these pictures on my slide. As I move on to the next slide, it picks up the existing content on it and provides me with additional layouts. It has cropped the picture, but made sure that the most important parts do not get cropped on it and are perfectly placed in this design suggestion. Now, on my third slide, I don't have any pictures. I have a list of dates that I think will really help me tell the story to my management. What PowerPoint Designer has done here is it's created process flows and timelines to create a perfect image of visualizing the data set that I've got. And I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. Now, on my next slide, I have a few facts and what I want to do, but I'm really missing something, a chart. And if you're anything like me, you'll always know, oh, I know that there's this chart in Excel that I really think would make sense in here, and then you go and try to find it in whatever other application that it's in. Now, that's just gotten a whole lot easier with a new functionality called Tap, where you can literally tap into all of the documents that you have access to, whether they're in your personal OneDrive for Business or have been shared with you previously. So I'm going to go into the store simulation Excel sheet that I have, and I can see here that there's 2 charts in that Excel document, and I can simply add them with a click on my Surface Studio. Now, Designer obviously kicks in again and makes a perfect suggestion for my design. Now that I'm done with that section, it's time to show off that amazing prototype I just created. So for that, I'm going to go back to my OneDrive, where I just stored the redesign. And I'm going to insert it on this slide. You can see here that I can perfectly rotate it. So I'm going to show the old design off first. And I'm now going to copy that, paste it onto the second slide, replace it a little bit, and show it from a slightly different angle to my management in here. All right. Same thing, final slide, add it in here. And what I'm going to do here is show it off from another angle and make it a whole lot bigger. So what you can see now is that in the transition section, a feature called Morph has been automatically applied. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter into presentation mode. And what you will see is that Morph has created cinematic motions for me to create a transition between the individual slides and the image that is consistent across all of the pages. So with all the creativity that I don't have, Office has brought it out of me and really made it look like I'm a professional designer. All right. Now it's time to share this with my team. And to do that, I'm going to switch over to my OneDrive for Business, where I have the pilot proposal stored. But before I do that, I also want to make sure that I have the right people on my team to help me support it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go back to office.com. And as you heard this morning, we've brought intelligent search and discovery powered by the Microsoft Graph to wherever you are in Microsoft 365. So to get consistent, personalized search from SharePoint, Delph, and in Windows, or even the new Bing for Business. And here, I'm going to search right in office.com, and I'm actually going to search for a skill that I want to make sure that someone on my team has to help me drive this. Now here I see Jeff Teper seems to have a few skills around that. So I'm going to go on his profile and check out what he's actually done around promotions. Here I get some info about his recent projects, about the skills he says that he has, and interesting other documents that he's working on. He already seems to be a part of Cool Cups, so I feel confident that we have an amazing team to start off. Going back to the File Explorer, I'm now going to move my file from OneDrive for Business right into the Teams folder that I have also synced to my File Explorer. Now, what you will see here in my OneDrive for Business folder is that not all files are currently synced to my computer. But thanks to Files on Demand, I have access to my entire OneDrive for Business folder and file structure. And I can access them on the go as I need them without taking up all the space on my local disk. And just to show you what Files on Demand really works with any application, I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes. And to do that, I'm going to pull up PowerShell, put OneDrive for Business right next to it. Got to move that a little bit to make sure that you can see everything. And the first thing that I want to do is show you the entire directory that we're currently looking at. What you will see is that some of the files here are displayed in parentheses. That means that they're not actually synchronized to my computer at the moment. They are showing up in File Explorer, but not taking up any of the space, but still giving me instant access to them once I need them. Now, what I'm going to do next, and I don't want you to now watch the PowerShell window. I want you to watch this window and particularly look at this file. I'm going to access this file in PowerShell. And please take a look at the status and the file in the File Explorer. Oh. All right. There we go. So what you saw, it's a really small file. It instantly accessed it. It's now locally available to me, and the status changed. And with that, I can genuinely say that OneDrive rocks and the experience that comes with it. And yeah, with that, I'm going to hand back to Ron. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. She has more creativity than she gives herself credit for, but Office 365 does help enhance that creativity. This slide, I tell you, when I saw this was a soothing slide to me. I don't know about you guys. We don't have treats under your seats or anything, but we do want to do a quick video and have a guest out here from Mars to talk about Office 365. So let's roll the video.
Mars has a very diverse set of requirements and businesses. We're talking over 80,000 associates across 78 countries, so it's a very complex environment. Trying to be in all those places, be mobile, connect those dots together around the globe at any one time, it's a very difficult challenge for us. From a strategic partner point of view, Microsoft has an enormous amount of capability that they bring to us. A whole bunch of building blocks that really fit together to bring together a complete solution. Mars is a very high-touch company. We like a lot of human interaction, and Windows 10 enables us to put a platform in that stays current. Tools like Azure, Intune, and Office 365 help us provide our associates with a contemporary set of tools that help them collaborate across the globe.
All right, with that, I'd love to invite Joe Carlin, Director of Technology Service Delivery at Mars, on stage.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, so I want to start. Tell me a little bit about your career. How did you get to be in the position you're at?
Well, 33 years now at Mars, so they recruited me straight out of kindergarten. And varied career, so mostly infrastructure experience. I started with a division of electronics, which we had a few years back, built data centers, ran global networks, and now I look after global infrastructure for all of Mars.
Awesome, it's great. And tell us about Mars. We know Mars by what we love about Mars, but tell us about the company, the organization.
Sure. You saw the slide, so feel free to see us. We're over in the domes over there. There's free candy and ice cream, so feel free to visit us. But yeah, Mars is a company, privately held, large family organization. The family is very, very involved in it. The culture goes through Mars of 5 principles around quality, responsibility, mutuality, freedom. And you know, it's a great atmosphere for a company. Fantastic brands, really strong brands, the Wrigley brands, the Mars brands, the pet care brands. So
great.
Yeah.
And how do you? We all have grown up with your products. So how do you look at disruption now? Is there disruption happening to your organization or your industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things are changing. So Mars is you know, when you think about candy, you think about impulse, right? You walk in the supermarket and it's there. You walk into the convenience store and it's there. And as people use more online shopping, it's been very disruptive. So, you know, we're partnering with people like Alibaba and Amazon, et cetera, to give consumers a different way to purchase the product. But it's also the brands themselves aren't good enough today. People want to understand what's about the company behind the brand. So looking for ways to continue to make that connection with our consumers is important to us.
So how does that translate into your job? What do you do for Mars then to help you stay ahead of the curve and help the company be competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the digital word is very well used, so I'm not going to say that, but it's really about what it means to your company that's important. So for us, it's about, you know, we continue to grow, and, you know, we can't rely on institutional knowledge in people's head anymore to run the company, right? We need to be more of a data-driven company. We need to be able to respond faster to change. We also need to leverage the more than 100,000 associates that are around the globe, right? We have some very, very smart people. They're the key asset for Mars. And how do we leverage that through collaboration and knowledge sharing kind of environments?
And what are the steps you've taken? Tell me some practical steps you've taken to leverage the knowledge that exists in the organization and give people the tools they need to be successful.
Yeah, when we acquired Wrigley back in 2009, we moved on to the O365 suite, and we've been using Exchange, Skype, and SharePoint for some time. We added Yammer a few years ago, and we've been very active in using that. And, and again, because the brands are so global, even though in a particular market, chocolate might be doing something that Wrigley could reuse in that very same market. So getting those connections together and driving that collaboration across the organization is essential to us.
That's interesting. What would kind of give me two practical pieces of advice you'd say, hey, what would you go do to help, if you're sitting in the audience, to go help drive that type of collaboration across brands or across boundaries?
Yeah, and I think, where Microsoft's going in terms of, helping to build out that ecosystem is really important to us, right? So we use a variety of services, O365 services, Active Directory services, Azure Active Directory, et cetera, and it helps us respond more quickly to demands. The other thing on the other side of it is we're almost getting to the point where with Windows 10, Windows as a service, et cetera, we're able to deliver technology capability faster than people can actually consume it. So there's a big focus for us around helping people adopt new technology.
And what's been the users' feedback as they're getting this new technology faster and more capabilities in their hands?
Less complaints to me, first of all, but no. I mean, before it was, hey, we can do this at home, but we can't do it in the office, and now we're creating an environment where people have the tools to do their job, right? So we want to make sure that we're not in the way. We're allowing people to be creative, to drive the business, to deliver quality products to our consumers, et cetera.
And how's it changed the role of IT? Your team, do you do a different type of work today than you maybe did 10 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, so being able to use things like Windows as a service or to use O365 enables me to focus our associates on different activities and be more engaging with the business, right? So there's trying to help them understand what's going on with our business customer and translate that back into IT as opposed to just doing operational activities on the backside.
And then we were talking before, you also use surfaces, and often we don't think about hardware as part of that, but kind of share your strategy with hardware and client machines and Surface and how you work
so we probably have somewhere on the order of 60,000 devices out in the, and quite a bit in the mobile space as well. And for our field sales force, for our category management folks that go in and take a look at the displays in the stores, for people that do in-store demonstration, for some of our pet care products, and like a PetSmart as an example, Surface is a fantastic device because they used to have an iPad for doing the in-store part, and then they'd have a laptop device for doing their business applications, and Surface allowed us to combine those two. The other application is for factory maintenance, is a good application as well. So we have a couple of applications where if somebody's working on one of the manufacturing lines, they can look up blueprints right online, and they can order spare parts. Maybe they need a motor or a gear or something else, and they can do that right on the spot as opposed to have to walk back to the shop and then back out again.
And I know your CFO is probably still on you about decreasing costs. And as you're going through this transformation, have you been able to do it while you've decreased costs as well, or how has that worked?
Yeah, for sure. And Mars continues to grow, so trying to contain costs and keep costs at a reasonable level is really, really important to us. And we've been able to do that through not having to do major deployments. So Windows 10, being able to do Windows, you do a release every couple of years and it would be this giant cost. Windows 10 is allowing us now to have that Windows as a service and kind of smooth that out.
Yeah, and that's an important one. The Windows 10 is more than just Windows 10, it's also moving to Windows as a service, which
correct.
Did that change the way in which you manage Windows in IT and your operations?
For sure, and to be fair, we're still struggling with it a bit, as we did a little bit with O365, where we want the evergreen part, we want the feature set, but yet we need a little bit of predictability about when a feature set is going to drop so that we can make sure that it's compatible with what we're doing, maybe do a little bit of testing. you know, as opposed to what we used to do is test everything to death before you roll it out, and then, you know, you're 2 years down the road before you get a feature out.
Last question for you. How has this move to this modern workplace, your transformation, changed how the company looks at IT? Do they look at IT differently than they have in the past?
They're really looking at us as an enabler, as opposed to someone that's, you know, that's keeping them at bay, right? You know, we're looking at doing some really cool things. We did an IoT thing for one of our drinks businesses where we're collecting telemetry from drinks machines that are deployed. We put Power BI over the top, and in a couple of months, we were able to give distributors a dashboard about what's being sold out of the machines, and they were able to optimize their routes. So being able to turn around those things has totally changed how people think about IT.
So I hear speed, agility as a new view of IT.
You got it.
Awesome.
You got it.
Well, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your
Pleasure.
story.
Thank you very much.
Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Very good story from Joe. The one thing I want to talk about a little bit here, because you heard him talk about Windows as a service. And one of the things that we introduced in July is the Microsoft 365 powered device. This is taking Windows and Office together and running that as a service so that you always have the most up-to-date bits on your client machines. And it also is a fundamental change in the way in which you typically do software deployments out to your client machines. And I have a few steps here that companies like Mars and others have gone through to make sure they get to that Microsoft 365 powered device, which is the most secure, most productive, most creative device that you can give your end users. But a couple of things I'll hit on. Really doing profile user rings, where you define rings and you roll out the client updates to those rings, where you start with the smaller ring and you expand over time. So you don't have to go test all 3,000, 5,000 of your applications at once. Flighting Windows Insider builds early so you get that feedback and you understand things. Turning on telemetry so you can actually understand where issues are going to happen before they might happen so we can address them together. And then driving in-place upgrades and autopilot. And then we have great tools in Config Manager as well as Intune to really help you move to that cloud management of those devices. And we have more sessions this week I'd really encourage you to go to, because this is a fundamental shift in the way in which we manage devices together that allow you to get the best capabilities out into the hands of the users quickly, just like what Joe mentioned in terms of what they do for their end users. I'm going to pause on this slide for a second. This is a good one to take a picture of. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff here, but there's a ton of sessions this week. And these are just some that I would encourage you to go to if you want to hear more about unlocking creativity. These are 4 great sessions. There's a lot of other great ones as well. But these are great ones that really focus on unlocking creativity that you can attend. So I want to shift a little bit to teamwork. And with teamwork, you can probably know more people work on teams today than ever. The number of teams that people work on has grown exponentially over the years. The generations of people across teams are amazing. You have people that are right out of college and people that have been working for 30, 40 years, working on the same team together, and they have much different styles in which they work. And it's been important for us to really pin that together, and with Office 365, provide a universal toolkit for diverse work styles so that we can allow people to collaborate across whatever work style they prefer, and we can bring that together in a fully integrated suite. We often look at it as really giving you the best of breed solutions in a fully integrated suite that come together with solutions like Office 365 groups, so you can share groups and collaborate across those teams and groups, regardless of what applications people choose to work on that fit their work style. Now, I'll give you a quick example with this is NASCAR. NASCAR amazingly runs 1,500 events at 110 racetracks every year. In fact, they're in 37 states, plus Mexico and Canada. What they did is they had a lot of complexity in all of these events. They had food vendors, they had pit crews, they had the race cars, they had operations, they had supplies. They had to bring all of this together. And what happened, some of the IT people went into the war room that was running a NASCAR event, and basically people were standing up yelling over cubicles to each other as to what they needed to do next. And they said, we can make this better. We can automate this process. And what they're able to do is take SharePoint with Power Apps and Flow, integrate that into their supplier systems, integrate that into their own systems, and bring that together into an intranet that they call Inside Track. And that integrates track vendors, fuel delivery, catering, operations, all together through Inside Track that can be used in that central war team, as well as out in the field in those 110 racetracks across North America. And so it was a great real solution that was used. And I'd love to have Jeff Teper, who many of you know and love as really the grandfather of SharePoint, or maybe I should say godfather of SharePoint, to come out and show us some of these solutions and what he can do. So welcome, Jeff Teper.
The grandfather? Jeez, the grandfather. It's a little gray. It's not that bad. Well, it's great to be here. Kim showed you some terrific work around personal productivity and creativity that led to this awesome Cool Cup. I'm going to focus on teamwork and collaboration. I'm very excited to do this inside Microsoft Teams. I use Microsoft Teams a lot. It's the first time I've actually demoed it in a big audience, which is awesome. But I can say this from a position of firsthand use. In fact, I'm so proud that the OneDrive team pre-release was the heaviest user of Microsoft Teams of any group inside Microsoft. And our director of PM, Omar Shaheen, gave more feedback to the Teams group pre-release than I think any other Microsoft employee. So here we go, Microsoft Teams. You can see we've got a great chat workspace here in Teams that's the hub for all my teamwork in Office 365. Down on this rail here, we've got the various teams, the store design team, and channels within those teams to filter the conversation so we don't get overloaded. This is the Cool Cups pilot channel. And I can go customize each of these teams and channels. You can see, of course, I've got conversations there. But I've also got files. Every team in Microsoft Teams creates a corresponding Office 365 group and SharePoint site with the full power of SharePoint behind it. And we're going to be announcing a whole bunch of news tomorrow on how we're going to deepen that integration between SharePoint and Teams. But for now, we'll just take a look at the files. Of course, there's other things you can integrate inside Microsoft Teams from us and third parties. Here, we're going to bring up a Power BI dashboard right in as a tab in Teams. And this is a good chance to also show one of the exciting new capabilities we announced in the last few weeks is external guest support for Teams. You can see up here it says this team has guests. That means we can collaborate with people in real time, both inside and outside our organization, with a consistent security model based on Office 365 groups. Yeah. The Teams group has done an awesome job sort of responding to feedback, and that was definitely the top request. I'll go into this conversation view, and you can see we've got, Ron talked about different work styles, different communication styles. We've got everything here. We've got sort of fun stickers that people have put to rally the team to sort of go the extra mile building these cups. Of course, those correspond with deployment schedules, Word documents, PowerPoints. I can like things, I can reply to them, I can add emojis. Sort of fun way for a team to work together and engage. As we said, this is a chat workspace combining things across Office 365, and you can do that with the tabs. But that can get a bit overloading, and so some of the things we've done is pull all those things together into a single activity feed. So I just want to see the places where I've been mentioned. I can quickly scan those. Of course, not everything I do is within the context of a team. Sometimes I'll have a private chat. You can see I've got 2 of those here. And Kim and Joni have started some private chats that I've carried on. Of course, we've got a whole set of rich bot integration into Microsoft Teams, into the chats, into the channels, that makes it a really rich experience that can be easily extended. I can add meetings, of course. A lot of meetings are recurring meetings that happen within Teams. And then, as Ron talked about, we've got a new intelligent communications strategy we're announcing this week based on a new Skype for Business backend, new Skype backend, and the integration of Skype for Business functionality inside Microsoft Teams. The most obvious being calling. And so I should get a phone call here in a second from my attorney. I've got that highlighted. And maybe I'll go ahead and call my attorney because, as usual, I don't know about you. Oh, there we go. My attorney's a little slow, but will bill me nonetheless. Hey there. I need
Hey, Jeff, it's Nestor.
Yeah, can
Hey,
you?
just wanted to let you know we're ready with that Cool Cups campaign.
Yep.
I've uploaded the release form to Microsoft Teams. I think we're ready to go.
Great. Thanks very much. I'll go check that out. All right. So that's our phone call. And as we said, we're bringing AV calling capabilities from Skype for Business right in the Teams client so you can have a unified real-time AV experience in one application. I will go in. He mentioned this file that he deposited, and I'll go back to the Cool Cups pilot and go into take a look at the documents on the SharePoint site. And sure enough, I see this release form. And I'm going to open this up. Let's open this one up in Word Online. It'll give me a chance to talk about one of the features I'm really proud of in being part of the Office team, which is accessibility. Satya talked this morning about the importance of Microsoft's mission to empower every person and organization on the planet. And really key to that is our commitment in the Office organization to accessibility and helping people create and consume accessible content. And so we're actually not just doing that in the desktop apps. I deliberately brought this up in the web application. And let me go into View and go into the Immersive Reader. And you can see we've got a great set of accessibility tools for the consumer of this content. If I've got limited site capabilities, maybe I could change the contrast ratio. If I want to understand this document better, I can space out the syllables. Let's do that. I could highlight nouns and verbs to learn the speech better. And we, in addition to this being something that helps people who have accessibility needs, we call this inclusive design at Microsoft. This is a way where we can design for people with a limitation in some form or another, but actually we benefit for everybody, because you're going to see me go into reading mode into this document, and I'll play this in a second. And of course, all of us might benefit from listening to our content, seeing if it's coming along clearly. And so let me go ahead and hit play on this multilingual document.
Release form for media recording. I understand this document and consent to its contents and agreements.
このドキュメントを理解し、その内容と契約に同意します。
Ich verstehe dieses Dokument und stimme in die Inhalte und Vereinbarungen.
So that's just one of many accessibility investments we're making in the Office team. We've got some great sessions actually on accessibility this week. It's a very important topic for you, your organizations, and encourage people to learn more about it. Going back to our files, next file I'm going to open up is the store sales simulation in Excel. This one we're going to bring up in the desktop version of Excel, and you'll understand why in a second for a piece of news. And I'm actually going to interact with Kim, who's still behind the scenes on this document. It's a model that we're going to do some forecasting for our store. We'll open that up. And obviously, we think this Cool Cup is going to really make a big difference. Let's say that's going to break through about 10% in sales uplift. You can see that I've changed that. And Kim's in the document. You can see her up here. And she's editing cell C15. And you can see her scrolling up and down in real time, making changes and changing the graph and so forth. So this is real-time co-authoring brought to SharePoint Online and OneDrive and Office 365 in the desktop version of Excel. Big investment for us, given all the feature richness of Excel. It is general availability now in the Windows version. It's coming very soon in the Mac. And so that will mean across Word, Excel, PowerPoint, web, mobile, PC, Mac, real-time co-authoring across the whole suite of Office 365. So we're excited to get that out there. The next thing I thought I'd show, actually, is my good friend SharePoint. We have a great session tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. They won't let me demo it all. Let me go ahead and dismiss this. But I did want to show a couple of things. We, in the last year, have really made a huge investment, an amazing design team in modernizing the experience of SharePoint. And last month, in August, we updated the general availability of the new page layout and editing surface in something called communication sites. So here is a completely out-of-box site with no custom code, all standard web parts. You can see this hero web part on the page that's got a few things. And I'm going to scroll this slowly, and you can see the text move up in the pictures. For you web design geeks, that's called parallax scrolling. It usually requires like 1 million lines of JavaScript and CSS to get right, and even then it's a little janky. Built in on photos in the new SharePoint UI. So really making those professional. You can see some additional web parts on this. We've got a whole bunch of, and I'm not going to announce them all here. We'll announce them tomorrow. Power BI web parts, people web parts, event web parts. We have connectivity to 100 data sources that we'll be talking about tomorrow. One of the things I'm super, super excited about is we worked very closely with the Yammer team on a new Yammer web part with highly optimized integration with SharePoint on the web and on mobile, so you can highlight those Yammer conversations that Kim showed and Ron talked about in a published site if you want to do. We've got videos from Stream, YouTube, Twitter feeds, and so forth. Just a ton of stuff. I'll go into edit mode just to show this for people who haven't seen SharePoint lately or maybe running the on-prem version and haven't seen it. But this is just so simple. You can go in and you can add the layout for different sections, the different columns. You've got these web parts you can add. Editing data in a web part's super easy. In fact, I can do it right in place. You can see I've highlighted Kim and me. But if I wanted to add Joni to this, I can start just typing in place. And, oops, I found Joanna. We'll type Joni, add her there. She's in the page right there. And I can go ahead and publish that and update that. So a bunch more to show on SharePoint and the new editing capabilities in communication sites tomorrow. Next thing I wanted to show, though, is the things we're doing around lists in business applications with Power Apps and Flow. Ron mentioned one of my favorite customers in the world that we've worked with, which is NASCAR. It's humbling that they're running their races on a Power App that's built against a SharePoint list. We're really excited about enabling more and more scenarios like that with the Power Apps and Flow team. In this case, we've built a list for the Cool Cups rollout. So when the stores get this cup, they can decide if they're ready, ask for a postponement. You can see this list with sort of custom columns and so forth. If you can request a deferral with a new target date. And I'm going to go in and select the Orlando store just to show one of the new capabilities. And we'll click on that. And just like that, up came a form. And people who've been with me on the SharePoint journey for quite a while will say two things. A, Jeff, that was pretty fast. And B, that doesn't look like your father's or grandfather's SharePoint form. That's because it's a Power App form. We worked really hard with the Power App team over the last year so they'd not only build standalone mobile apps, but they could be a forms design environment that we could host at runtime inside SharePoint, bound to SharePoint data with the kind of performance you just saw there, and capabilities like maps and pictures and fun controls and so forth, and all sorts of work going on between the teams. I'm going to go push that out to the stores. And to show how the stores would interact with the list, let me bring back Kim, who's going to show you the mobile view of this Power App. Kim?
Thank you, Jeff. Store managers can access all of their Power App requests right from their mobile phone with the Power Apps app. And here, the Orlando location manager can see that the rollout date for their store has been set to October 2nd. Now, that doesn't really work for that store, because a lot of the employees are helping out with the hurricane relief. So I can now either confirm it, which doesn't really work for me, or I can go ahead and request a deferral. So I'm going to go click Get Started. And what I can do now is select the project lead, which in this case is Nestor. And in a second, his name will hopefully start loading. Please, Wi-Fi. Let's do this. All right. Can we switch to the other phone? Try that again. All right. Going to do that same thing again. Start typing Nestor's name in here. There we go. Thank you. Now I'm going to go request the deferral and select a new target date that will actually work for me. I'm going to select the last day in October, click OK. Justification is the hurricane. I'm just going to give them a quick note. And as I click Save, it goes straight back to Jeff.
Thanks, Kim. So let's take a look at that. We'll do like somebody said and hit refresh. And we'll see in this list, sure enough, Joni has requested a deferral on Orlando and said it's because of the hurricane. But I want to, of course, see what happens to that via email. So I'm going to bring up Outlook web app. And sure enough, it's 4:50, and the mail just came in. This request for the deferral. So Flow integrated with Power Apps and SharePoint supports something called actionable messages that I can interact with right in line. I'll show you in a second how simple it is to make those. I'll go ahead and hit approve. We're working on it for just a second. It's been approved. And then I can go back to the list, and we should be able to see that in Orlando, our request has been approved. So that's great. It's a quick tour of that. Let me then show you how that was built. So I'm going to bring up Microsoft Flow. And as I said, we've done a lot of work between Power Apps and Flow and the rest of the Office 365 suite to embed them to feel like a seamless part of the experience. Here's the Flow Designer. You can see when an item is created or modified in SharePoint. Has a new date been proposed? And if not, if it's null, then go down to the Yes branch. If the proposal needs approval, and I'll explode that, so if confirms not equal to true. If it's not been approved, then I want to send the approval email. And so I can create a step there in Outlook. And you can see the simplified version of this. So send a mail to Jeff, who's the approver, with the subject line, Cool Cups request for rollout date deferral. And then all I had to do to generate that message with the buttons in it was type right there, comma delimited, approve and reject. And then I can be a little more clever on the mail body. I could just send something fairly simple. But in this case, I want to take fields from SharePoint as a parameter in the body of that message to make it a little more personalized and easier to understand. And then as I go through, if approval is granted in that step, so if the selected option is equal to approve, then go ahead and update the item in the SharePoint list, which is with the justification and confirms yes. So all that sort of complex logic without a single line of code interacting between Outlook and SharePoint and through Flow and Power Apps, dozens of different back-end connectors that you can build more complex business solutions on. So really excited about that sort of bringing together, the amazing creativity of the SharePoint ecosystem and the power and interoperability of Power Apps and Flow. I think I'm going to turn it back to Kim, who's going to show what happens in the store when you do one of these rollouts.
Yes. So what you can see here on my phone is the Staff Hub app. And we can see the view for Deborah, who's one of our baristas in the stores. Here, she gets an overview of all of the next shifts that she's scheduled for. And if I go and click on that shift, I can also see a couple of notes that are associated with it in case there's anything that my management let me know about. Now, if you've ever worked in a first-line job, you know how hard it can be to switch shifts with someone from the very complex schedule that your management came up with, which usually never works for you. Staff Hub allows you to negotiate shifts with your coworkers beforehand, and then go into the app and quickly change them. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the shift that I want to swap with someone, and going to go into the swap or offer shift functionality. Now, I've already negotiated with Alex, who's available at that time and can take over my shift that he will. So I'm going to select him to be the new person to take on that specific shift and send the request. That kicks off a management approval and schedule update process that will then automatically update my schedule in the Staff Hub app once my manager has approved it. Now, what you can also do in the Staff Hub app is communicate with your first-line employees. There's always things they need to know, like be aware of the employee handbook and have all the most important information on how we interact with customers. But obviously, also all the safety and security standards that apply in your role. And another amazing thing about Staff Hub is that you can also include additional employee resources, like, for example, the intranet that Jeff showed you earlier, all in one place, all in one app to interact with your first-line employees.
Great. Thanks, Kim. We're going to show one more thing, which is we're going to go into PowerPoint and talk about some work we're doing around artificial intelligence. Satya talked about AI and machine learning and showed us the quantum computing that's going to power it all in the future. But our job in Office is to not have you think about all that. Just make it super simple and solve everyday problems for you. And so one of the things in this case, we're going to go out to our investor community with Cool Cups and tell them what a great job we've done. We're going to tell them we've got 100 million monthly active coffee drinkers or something like that to go raise money to go put in more stores. But there's investors from all over the world who may not speak English or whatever language we're going to go broadcast this out in. And so we're going to show how we've built some of the AI capabilities right into PowerPoint with this automatic Microsoft translator that will add subtitles to this presentation when it's given. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Subtitles. Since Kim speaks German, we're going to have Kim speak German and have it translate out to all of us in English. And we're going to go ahead and start subtitles. And I'm going to hit mute there. And before I hand it off to Kim to speak, what we do is we put up a slide with a QR code that people could come in, take a picture of, and bring up the Microsoft Translator app so they could see whatever their language is, as the presenter speaking, they could see the translation on their phone in real time. But for now, we'll do it in front of all you on the big screen. And let me hand it over to Kim and unmute so she can go do that.
Vielen Dank, dass Sie nach Orlando gekommen sind. Ich hoffe, Ihnen haben die Innovationen, die wir heute gezeigt haben, gefallen und wünsche Ihnen noch viel Spaß den Rest der Woche über. Danke.
Great. Thanks, Kim. Danke schön. Let me hand it back to Ron.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Jeff and his team have done a great job modernizing SharePoint and also integrating that with line of business applications like some of those examples. Next, I want to bring up a customer that you may not have heard of, Henkel, but I bet a lot of you use their product based on this slide here. So let's roll the video.
The world is turning around much faster. The informations are coming much faster. My mission is to make the workplace more attractive, to be more simpler in the future, and enable the people to do the best. With Office 365, we really provide the right tools towards the employee to make their daily work more effective. Skype was one of the biggest success stories. The full communication package. We do not talk about mobility anymore at Henkel. We are mobile. We're closing a circle. People don't have to think about how, they just do it. This is a culture change at Henkel for over 50,000 people. We are connecting all these people. We can form project teams much faster. People can connect to each other wherever they are. The best feedback I've got is that IT is supporting them now to do their work. We make the world smaller. And by doing that, we enable everybody. Office 365 is, for me, I would call it maybe the fuel. It's the energy to enable our vision.
I'd like to welcome Marcus Petrak from Henkel on stage. Marcus, how are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Marcus, tell us a little bit about your career. How did you get to the role that you're in?
20 years now into the industry, and I'm still excited to be there. I would call myself a digital nerd, or one of the oldest millenniums. So I have one of the best jobs here at Henkel, being responsible for the strategies, operation of 50,000 workplaces. So that's awesome, awesome time.
Great. Yeah. And tell us about Henkel. You recognize a lot of the products on the slide, but maybe people aren't familiar with the company.
Yes, they're not familiar with Henkel here in the US, but I think all of you have used Henkel products today. In the morning you may drove with a car or with a plane, flew out with a plane which was glued with Henkel glue. Same with your phone. You hopefully use shampoo or soap from Dial, for example, or Schwarzkopf. And hopefully, at the weekend, you will wash all your clothes with Persil. And then you have all your Henkel products.
Awesome. Yeah. So I've heard you've been pretty successful at moving Henkel to a modern workplace.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your journey there and some of the things you've done to make that happen?
Yes, very excited journey. I think we started 4 years ago, and at that time, I would say we had one of the outdated workplaces at all in this industry. And then we made the decision to go to Office 365, fully to Office 365. And we've been one of the first customers from Microsoft of this scale, and in Europe at least. So that was an amazing journey we've done. We came from Lotus Notes in Office 2003. And I always told the people, by the way, that's not a version number, that's a year. And it's really, really old. So we have to make some changes there. And we did these changes, I mean, in less than a year. We transferred 45,000 workplaces at that time to a complete Office 365 solution. Replacing Lotus Notes, replacing all the old products. I can't even remember the names anymore, like same time with Skype and things like that, or quicker with SharePoint. And the success was really, I mean, it was so successful. One of the most successful projects we ever done at Henkel. We have highest customer satisfaction there because we've done a lot of change management with the people, and ongoing change management, even today. I mean, we have an evergreen scenario. Now we have all this new stuff you talked about. Now Teams is coming up. We have Skype telephony, and now we just rolled out Office 2016. So ongoing journey, ongoing changes, and that makes this project, or I would say the whole story of Office 365 or Microsoft 365 now, at Henkel such a successful
Talk a little bit about the change management, what you did, because that's usually the biggest concern people have with this.
Yes.
There's some practical advice.
First of all, we are IT guys, and we sometimes forget that outside of our IT department are non-IT guys. And when we have 50,000 employees, that means 49,000 are non-IT. So we have to think with their mind. And that was one of the guiding principles we always had during this project. And think about the users. Do they understand that? What do we have to do regarding change management, training, webinars, all that stuff? So we've done a lot of use cases, simple use cases like a 60-second video, how to turn out my out-of-office agent on Outlook. And just quick ones, and that was a success story. And people really, they demanded that, and they really took that, I mean, in a huge number.
That was great. I heard you've also started using Microsoft Teams.
Yes.
How have people responded to that? How are they using Microsoft Teams?
I love it, and the teams love it. For me, Microsoft Teams is closing a gap between mail, traditional email, and I would say the social part, like Yammer, which we also use as well. But with Teams, we have exactly that solution for smaller groups, which now I can be much more agile and much faster towards my team, for example. I get quick responses. We have now the connection to SharePoint, and now in the future, even Skype is connected to Teams. So we are looking forward to that. We are using it heavily. I like Teams. I love it, to be honest.
You mentioned Skype. You do use much Skype for telephony and video?
Yes. Skype is, from the beginning, it was a success story. It was nice to have in the beginning, just for chatting, and it became business critical after months. And now with introducing Skype telephony, and we have now thousands of users already on Skype telephony, people are really, really, really satisfied. I mean, there were some concerns like, oh, where's my desk phone? Now I have to talk with a head. What's when my computer is off, and things like that. But after a day using Skype telephony, these concerns are gone. People were so happy because they gained so much flexibility now. They can work wherever they are. You don't recognize them. I'm sitting in the home office or in a hotel in Orlando. It's just my office number. Just call me, and it works perfectly.
Did you have to mandate anything, or did these things these changes happen naturally? Did you take stuff away or make requirements? Or?
Both ways. I mean, we have the natural way that, for example, we build up a new site. So let's go for Skype. But also we have already now, I would say, a list of sites who want to be first or the next one. Please switch us. We saw that from colleagues. That's a nice thing. We want to have it.
So words kind of spread throughout Henkel.
Absolutely.
People want that.
Yeah.
How about Office 365 Pro Plus? You saw some of the capabilities there.
Yeah.
Are you running that? Are you getting those capabilities out to your clients? What's the reaction of end users to that?
I mean, it was positive from the beginning because we've been on Office 2003. It was like, it was a new world, and we got very positive feedback on that. For us, from an IT department, I think a lot of people know that it's a challenge because, I mean, evergreen being evergreen on the tool is one thing, but you have to be evergreen on the process and on the people as well. So for us in IT, it was a challenge, but it was a challenge we had to take, because we cannot afford projects like we have done it with Office 365 every 3 or 4 years. We have to be evergreen. I mean, in the scenarios of today, with all the threats we have and all the digital transformation we are going through, we cannot wait 2 years to update to a new version. It has to be evergreen. So for me, that's a must-have and not an optional thing anymore.
Being a German company, you're also thinking of GDPR requirements that are coming in May. I know it's not just European companies, but essentially you. So you talk about your process for getting GDPR compliant, where you stand, and if Office 365 helped you, or if there are ways you leverage that.
So it is it's a really, really big topic in the European Union, and we are already live. I mean, even if this is now till May next year, we are already live with the GDPR. So we have to be compliant. You have to be compliant. Every party who wants to be business in the EU has to be compliant. And some parties have to learn that. And the good thing about Microsoft now is that you already accepted the fact that they work closely together to solve all these issues. And Office 365 for us was, when we started the project 4 years ago, we couldn't make it better. I mean, that's not our core business. So with Office 365 as a cloud solution, we have much more security than we ever had before. And this security level, we cannot do it on our own. That's just not practical. It does not make any sense for us. So that's why we are really glad that we are now on that road with Office 365, and Microsoft is helping us in solving these compliance issues.
So last question, is there any practical advice, if you're sitting in the audience, 5 years ago, that you think you should provide to this group about your transformation to the modern workplace?
I think I said it some years ago, just do it. That was one of my really, I mean, and this is said by a German company. I mean, just do it. Because otherwise you will not be finished in time and things like that. Change management, as mentioned, don't forget the people. For us, the biggest challenge for the next years is to have really a simplified workplace and a more intelligent workplace. I mean, we don't have to forget who's out there. There are not only millennials, there are also other people, and we have to work with these people, and we have to make these people also more efficient. So that's what I'm really looking forward to work in the next couple of years here.
Well, appreciate you spending the time with us, Marcus.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you for
that.
the time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. So I'll pause on this slide as well. When we talk about enabling teamwork, these are some of the sessions I encourage you to go to if you want to snap a picture of that. There's a lot of sessions, but these are some that I would highlight. I also got the sense from Jeff Teper, he didn't like that grandfather comment. So to try to make it up to him, I'm going to highlight Jeff Teper's session tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Right down the hall, so you can come see Jeff and Dan and Omar deliver their session tomorrow on SharePoint and how you can digitally transform with SharePoint and OneDrive. So let me just try to close with a couple of things. One question I often get is, what tool do I use when? You have a lot of applications inside Office 365, and where do I start a conversation? What's the best way to collaborate? I often get that question. And we put together this framework to help kind of explain how we see most customers looking at things about where to start a conversation. And it really starts with, what's the purpose of the conversation? What do you want to do? Do you want to broadcast something out to try to get information back because you don't know where to go? So for instance, if you're doing an RFP, a request for proposal, and you think there may be an expert in the company somewhere, but you don't know where that expert might actually be, you might go use Yammer and tap into what we would call that outer loop, or the entire company, or maybe a community within a company, and use that to find that expert that might sit out there that you're not aware of. And so that outer loop, we really look at Yammer as that hero tool to use for people that you connect with openly across the organization. Most of your time is actually probably spent in your work team and the people that you work with day to day. You might have one team. You might have a dozen teams that you work with. It might be your work group on a project. It might be your direct reports in you. And that's really where we look at teams playing the role, is people that you work with regularly on core projects. You typically know the people. They may not sit in the same city or the same building. They might be dispersed around the world. But they're people that you're working with on a specific project that typically is also material that you'd have that you'd only want available to those people that are working on that project. That's what we would call that inner loop, and where we'd see Teams as that hero application. And then we have email. And Outlook is an application for email and calendaring, which is what we see as ubiquitous targeted communications. It's familiar to everyone. It spans generations. And it's still an important part of communicating and having a conversation. And then at the center, we have SharePoint to store your files, your sites, your content, whether you're communicating that through Yammer or Teams or Outlook. You have SharePoint as really that center place where you store your content, and it reaches into those applications that you use to have a conversation. And we pin that all together with Office 365 groups, so you can create a group and you can share that through these different applications, so you can be pure across those groups. The other thing I want to show you really quick, and this isn't something that we've talked that much about yet, but I want to show you the productivity library. This is a tool for you that you can use to help your users get the most out of Office 365 and Microsoft 365. We organize this by functions like finance, HR, marketing, sales. We have productivity cards out here, all kinds of different topics. And say we heard a lot about first line workers. And I'll just type in first line. Look at all these cards I get about first line workers. Let's hit the first one. Maximize the impact of your first line workforce. And you go into actually scenarios. How do first line workers get what they need to stay productive? How do you connect everyone in the organization with your CEO? And you can drill into training on this, real practical tools that you can take out, make available to your organization and to your users. So super valuable tool here. I'd encourage you all to check it out. In fact, we go back to the slides in a second here. I'll give you a URL so that you can snap a picture of it. And here you go. You can take a URL picture of that. It can take you out to your first line site. Your productivity library. And you can use that to give content out to your users. When we talked about change management up here, this is a great tool to help drive change management within your organization. So I'll just pause up here until people have got their pictures taken. You can also access this tool from the Fast Track Center. So those of you who've used fasttrack.microsoft.com can get at this tool as well as a bunch of other content to help you manage your transition to Microsoft 365. So to wrap up, as I started, this is a partnership we have together, a partnership between Microsoft and all of you to make sure we go help you be successful, help your organizations be successful. That move to the modern workplace is here. It's happening now, and it's critical for success for all of us. It's critical for the future of our users that we serve together and our organizations. And so one of the things we want to make sure we provide you is a community of this group that can share with each other, and then we can share information with you. And so if you have not yet, join and engage in the tech community. You can get it at techcommunity.microsoft.com. Great resources there, great way to tap into the power of the people at this event today and the power of the people around the world that are striving every day to transform their organizations and lead this organization in this new world. Thank you very much for the time, really appreciate it.